Helpful for life.
All right, we're finally on the last type of stovetop to clean, gas. In case you aren't aware, gas stovetops usually burn natural gas in an open flame that you set your pans directly on top of. Although gas stoves can look very different, the way you clean them is pretty similar. And as a reminder, regardless of the type of stove you have, make sure to clean the controls and back panel in addition to the horizontal surface. This is pretty straightforward, so we'll be brief yet again. Use soapy water or a cleaner appropriate to the surface that you're cleaning. Make sure to clean the controls and any knobs. You can likely remove the knobs to better clean the knobs themselves and behind them. And of course, clean that little vertical piece and the surrounding outline if you have those on your stove. Just like with other types of stoves, make sure that it is cool before you clean it. The first step is to remove the grates. Newer gas stoves will have caps on top of the burners. Take those off as well. Throw the caps and the grates into your sink with some hot, soapy water. Let those soak while you're doing the rest of the cleaning. When you come back to them, you'll simply give them a scrub with a scrub brush or a sponge. Some grates are even dishwasher safe. Sweet! Other grates you can even clean using the self-clean cycle of the oven. That's also pretty sweet. Check your specific model to see if either of these methods are okay. If so, use them. It makes your life that much easier. One tip, if you're going to use the self-clean cycle, you probably need to put those on the oven rack and not on the oven floor. Now, if you're not lucky enough to have one that is dishwasher safe or oven self-clean cycle safe, here are some other ways to get off some really baked on gunk. You could add a degreaser to that soap and water soak. Alternatively, you could use a baking soda and water paste that you let sit for a while and then clean it with vinegar. Some people will use oven cleaners to clean their grates. As always with oven cleaner, read the label to make sure that it is safe on the material you're cleaning. Another option is to buy a grate cleaner. I know, big surprise, they sell a product specifically for this. Some of the ones we saw online was a powder that you mixed in with water to let sit overnight. And lastly, you could do a soak with ammonia or vinegar. To do that, get some gallon-sized Ziploc bags and put your grates inside of them. Then pour a little bit of ammonia or some vinegar inside. Let those soak overnight. You'll want to maybe turn those over once or twice, especially if you're doing vinegar. Alternatively, you could put them all in one big trash bag. Just make sure you tie it nice and tight so those fumes don't have anywhere to go.
Then, scrub them clean with soap and water the next day.
Those ammonia fumes will work like magic and melt all that gunk away, making your scrub job a lot easier. The vinegar should work too, but maybe not quite as well, just so you know. Back to the rest of the stove. You'll want to keep your burners clean so that no gunk impedes the gas flow. First, take a damp cloth to clean it. If it still needs work, take a toothbrush to it. If there's gunk stuck in the cracks or the holes, you can use a sewing needle, a pipe cleaner, a wire, a twist tie. You could even use a toothpick, but a toothpick's not as good because it could break off. A paper clip would work as well. Finally, make sure that the ignition ports are clean, which is a fancy way of saying the hole or line in between where the gas comes out and where the igniter is. And in case you don't know what the igniter is, it's that thing that sparks whenever you're lighting the stove.
If you have any dual burners, make sure to clean where the gas flows from the inner burner to the outer burner.
If the burners themselves are really nasty, you can remove them and soak them and clean them on their own as well. Some burners will pull right out and others may have a screw or two that you need to take off. Lastly, there's the surface of the stovetop that you gotta clean too. You can use soap and water, of course, or the appropriate cleaner based on the material of your stove. If there are tough spots, let that cleaner soak on there for a little bit before cleaning. If the material is stainless steel, you're gonna get the best, prettiest, shiniest clean that is most resistant to fingerprints if you use a stainless steel cleaner. Make sure to buff it with a dry cloth at the end. That puppy will really shine. If you have some gunk on the surface that just won't come up, here are some ideas to help you out. You could use the baking soda and water paste, cleaned with vinegar. Barkeeper's Friend is pretty popular for cleaning stoves. You could also take a plastic scraper to it. And of course, big surprise, there's a product made specifically for this thing. You can buy a spray that is a cleaner and degreaser for gas stovetops. As with most surfaces, you don't want to use anything too abrasive. Some people will take steel wool to their stainless steel stoves, but it could possibly damage the surface, so do it at your own risk. And that is it. Of course, you want to make sure to assemble everything back together. but that's how you clean a gas stove. Now, this was the heavy duty clean, and you don't need to do that every day. Every day, you could just use some soap and water or the appropriate cleaner to wipe everything nice and clean. Whew, we made it. That's all of the stoves. We're finally done with them. Fortunately, all that's left is the sink and the microwave, and both of those are easier to clean than the stove.